custody from Jason. When you're podcasting though, like, are you like part of you putting on a show?
No.
There's got to be part of you that's on though. Like, there is something when you hit a record button.
Sure, I love this conversation.
Okay, COVID style, open that window.
This one?
No, that one behind you. I don't know where you've been. You and your COVID breath. Oh. Okay, step back.
I'm learning.
Step back.
Oh, I broke it.
You totally broke it.
Sorry, I wasn't born in the 20s.
Oh my God, okay, that's funny because that is totally true. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
All right.
See how
Don Bonker.
you could die? Cheers.
Cheers.
But again, when you hit play, you change. Whether you think you do or you don't. I would say at least for the first 30 minutes, you're going to be aware it's there. Which makes you a different being.
But then it goes away. And that's the fun part.
As long as you delete the first 30 minutes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, but then I don't, because the first part is genuine. Okay, so this is a philosophical debate, because it's like the real authentic self. It's like the argument of like, who is the real you? And then it's like, well, the real me is insecure, is confident, is shy, is expressive, is shameful,
Is half looking out of my eye to the thing on my laundry rack.
Yeah, that's you. But that's authentic. So that's the beauty. Like, you're still you, worried about this thing looking at you. So it's a conundrum.
Not worried so much as aware.
Okay, well, different verbiage. I don't think you know how magic you are. You're like,
If you knew though, wouldn't that make you not magical? Do unicorns know that they're magical? Incidentally, I'm crocheting a unicorn. How do you feel about that? I just crocheted a bunny. And
That's a great question. Currently, I'm crocheting a unicorn. How do you feel about that?
no, I was fishing for a compliment.
Oh,
Yeah.
Don,
That's great. How do you do that? This is really complicated.
line. How old are you now?
40.
I'm 41.
Oh, my elder. Look at that. So much wiser.
I beat you.
And everyone that turned 40 this year, just welcome to all the good things.
All the good things. That's a big transition. 40's like a stigma.
Let's just say this year had all the things. This year had betrayals. This year had divorce. This year had pandemics. This year had being stripped of every coping mechanism. This year had relearning of the gift of massive community. This year had learning to ask for help and starting to love it. This year had learning to not be afraid of being alone. Did you ever think that? Yeah. Who knew? You being forced to be alone, you're like, no big deal.
And in juxtaposed to that, we don't need to be afraid to be alone. I've also learned the importance of being around others. And not around the same people, but different people.
So I lived in a community of 12, I think max. There was like 16 of us. And we were like in the middle of nowhere on the Eastern Shore in Maryland. And we were all together. We studied theology. We like worked in this intentional community. And we like became this like little hive, right? It was all the things. And like even going to the grocery store and interacting with like the sales clerk, we were like, we liked each other better when we got to see each other interact with other people. So like that idea of like it is important to have a breadth. You also recognize your crew and you recognize it changes through seasons for sure. But also being careful you don't spread yourself too thin. You can appreciate others in like extending communities, but like you don't stretch that far as a human.
My brain is on fire right now with everything you're saying, because I think everything you're saying is so accurate. And I think in my perception, it is healthier to live in a community where community is default and solitude is sought for. Like, whether you like it or not, this is your community. It's in your face, but you have a choice to have your solitude time. In my mind, that's a healthy environment.
I think it's the opposite.
Cool.
I think community is something you fight for, and solitude is something that's like.
So hear me. Okay, keep going.
Yeah.
But hear me out. That's our current state, though, is that our current actual reality is isolation is default, where community has to be sought for.
But I think that COVID's just like magnified that. But I think that's the nature of American culture in cities. Maybe it's different in not big cities, but I'd say you have to fight for community and be intentional in creating community. I'd say it's not natural. Like, we're created for it, but it doesn't happen of its own. In the same way that perhaps you have to fight for I don't know, you just have to fight for things, I guess. You have to be intentional. Like, you have to be intentional about solitude, right? Like, you could be in solitude and you're sitting at home watching TV. That's not solitude. I mean, it is. But it's like, it's more comatose than...
Comatose, yeah. Yeah, you're just tapping out. Yeah. We've all been there. We've all been there.
I forgot we were on. Hi, everybody.
Exactly. Keep it that way. Or not, whatever.
Or not.
Whatever.
Bye.
It's just good to see you.
Aww. Crazy.
Right?
Well, 2 adventures. I'm glad you showed up.
Adventure is... Yep.
Adventure's showing up.
That's... Yeah. Otherwise, I die. If I don't adventure, I die.
Good job. Good job. Learning what your things are.
The older I get, the more I know what I don't want, and that helps me create boundaries. Because I'm like, been there, done that, do not want that again. So it becomes the hard no's in life, or like become my frontier of possible yeses.
What are your hard no's?
Wow. Now I got to think about that. To be in a cage, to be beholden to one place all the time. I need to be mobile. I need the freedom to be mobile at the drop of a dime. I need to have easy access to just go when I want to go, and nothing holding me back. Yeah, that's a hard yes. Well, and then everything.
What I hear you saying is more like you know what you want.
Yeah.
Less of know what you don't.
Well, okay, for one to be salary, that would be a hard no. If anybody, and I've tried it 3 times, being on salary. That's a golden handcuff. Like, as soon as somebody gives me salary, I die. I start dying slowly inside because I have this complex, like I owe somebody something, and so if I'm on salary, it just amplifies that on a monetary level, where I need the other end of the spectrum, where it's like, I'm not a nester.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about a nest. I gotta fly, and so anything that's like creating a nest that I like have to feel obligated for, that keeps me from flying.
You're not a tangible nester, but you're a relationship nester. Like, you love
Correct.
Community.
Correct. Yes. Well said. Yeah. For sure.
Those are still ties.
Oh, it's all connected. It's all connected for sure. So nest is important to me, but probably not in the traditional sense in the American current age. It's like, I don't need a home to go back to every night. I don't need to have that.
Yeah.
I don't really want that, because in my mind it's just something to take care of that I don't want to take care of, because it's holding me back to just go somewhere else. I'm an adventurer. I want to do spontaneous trips. I want to bounce around. I want to be a ping pong ball.
You don't think that'd get tired at all? What about Crosby Man?
That's what we're working out. We're doing a whole new van. Like, we're upping the game with the van to make that more accessible. Yeah, so my thing is like lean into every problem has a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And so creativity is okay. You're going there. You're going deep. You're going the deepy deeps.
No.
Well, you're gonna argue the linguistics of that, which is great. Because I'm sure there's caveats.
I don't know. I guess like sitting in. I think so. I don't know. Just like that was my brain. I don't know. Like sitting in a week of like a girlfriend with a brain tumor, like feels like a space like where literally everyone's like, "What's going on?" And you're like, "I have no idea." Like.
Oh, the level of surrender where you don't have a solution.
Yeah. So like there's like massive areas of life where I love the word surrender, like where it's just a surrender and there's not a solution. And so I guess that's my pushback.
Love it.
I think as Americans too, and maybe as like certain personality types want to solutionize things. And then I think in like I'm fine sitting in mystery. I'm fine sitting in like, okay, let's sit in this space because I'm not a ruminator, so I can hold things different. But yeah. So I guess I'm coming at it from a space of like.
What's a ruminator?
Like I don't mull things over in my head. Like thoughts don't just like I don't sit and like ponder all these things. I'm just like thoughts in, thoughts out. This is what I feel now. This is what I think then. This is what I just read. Like stuff doesn't like brew. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, it totally.
I'm not
makes
an
sense.
like. Of course, I'm not saying I don't like be anxious about stuff or whatever, but it's not like. Yeah.
You let thoughts go.
Yeah, or like maybe they never started.
I doubt that. I doubt that.
Yeah, I don't hold things as heavy as some other people do, I think. Yeah, so I love, my boss always says that, like, if you're going to come at me with a problem, you need to come at me with a solution too.
Mm-hmm.
I think people don't spend enough time thinking that there are solutions and next steps to things, because they'll just, but sometimes you're just, people who struggle with depression or whatever layers you have, sometimes you have to have somebody else help you into that. Sometimes you can't solution on your own. But you're right, there's often a next step or a thing you can do to create a salve or a solution to something. Like retrofitting a van to fit little dude. Where's the little dude? Oh, there he is.
This is fire.
You say that about everything.
Do I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh.
Have you ever been on a podcast and not been all into what you were talking about, though?
I don't know what you just said. Say it one more time in a different way.
Have you ever been doing one of your podcasts, like I'm talking to somebody I really want to talk to, and not been like all into it? Have you ever had to fake it?
There's been those moments, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I feel like you're an all-inner.
Oh, wow. What are you seeing in me right now that I'm not seeing in myself?
I don't know. I feel like you just like, you'd feel like most conversations when you get to connect with someone was fire.
That might be part of me that I don't see that people keep bringing up. You know, when I'm in moments of crisis, you know, I go to my go-tos, you know, my brother for one. He's just my, you know, closest to my heart. And I'm like, man, like, what do you see in me that I'm not, what do I have that I'm lacking, that I think that I'm lacking, or that I don't feel, you know, when we feel completely separate and not part of things, not valued. I mean, that's the common denominator, is like we don't feel like we're worthy of love and belonging, that we have value, that we have place and purpose. And so I was in that moment, and he's like, Jay, it's obvious. But to him, it's obvious, not to me. And that's what's awesome about community, is like they show us.
Yeah.
Those community type people, they show us are obvious that we can't see within ourselves, which is also another layer that I appreciate that it's designed that way, because if we could see it, our ego would attach. So the gift that we have to offer the world, the ego cannot see, therefore it cannot attach to. So the best thing to do is just to relax into who you are right here and now.
Or if it does attach, that you have the friends that are able to tell you how awesome you are, but the simultaneously can knock you off your horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are just as important.
No, for sure. For sure. But I might say, I would even challenge that in that I think our ultimate gift, our ego is totally blindsided to. Completely blindsided to.
Are you talking about R as in you and I, or R as in human nature?
As in every human here.
I have no idea what you're saying.
So every human, I believe, has a gift, has a place and purpose. Like a cell in the body has a place and purpose.
Undoubtedly, or else they wouldn't be here.
And if they're trying to be something or not, they become cancer. So if you relax into who you are
also very first world privileged statement.
That's well said. That's well said. Yeah, that's where it gets deep. Yeah, that's where it gets deep.
Continue.
Deep. No, I mean, I hear you. So that's where it's like a lot of layers, right?
Okay, but
a lot of layers.
So I guess so let's talk first world. I don't know. I guess so in so many ways I feel like ego can keep you. Ego is to me has such a negative connotation. Okay, you're saying something can't touch ego? What were you saying? I don't understand.
Who you actually are, the gift that you have to the community, the ego cannot see. And I could be wrong with that, but that's my current frontier. And then my ultimate value.
Okay, but I feel like the ego can explode. So I think
Yeah, he watches videos and laughs. Yeah.
It makes me happy.
Yeah, it makes me happy too. He's having a good time.
Okay, so I feel different. I feel like the purpose of an ego is to exploit your best qualities. Like I feel like that's where like your ego is your yin and your yang to your like. Your ego takes over when it's like bolstering your best, and it can be used for good or bad. Your best is often can also be your worst. Isn't that like your Enneagram stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So
I just feel like it can't be excluded.
Oh no.
I feel like you have to be so careful.
You have to accept it.
And then also I think ego is also tied to how much power you're given. So whatever rule you're given or not. Well, actually that's not true. That's not true, because you can have no power and have a massive ego and just be a total ass.
The best way I could, in my current state of understanding this world, is ego's a Halloween costume. What's the fun thing you're putting on? And I think that's a healthy view of the ego. It's like, oh, you're playing this costume today. Fun. Look at you in that costume. That's awesome.
Or could it be like your worst qualities parading around?
If you're so that's where it gets dangerous. So that's where I feel like once one associates themselves with the Halloween costume, like that becomes their identity.
Okay.
That's where it gets toxic. But if one can see themselves in a multifaceted way, where my ego is a part of this, but it's not the end all be all. It's a costume I wear. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. And it's okay.
And it's not all bad.
It's not all bad, and it's helping me survive.
It's exactly what I would say with ego. If it's used well, it's a survival tool.
It's a survival tool, and it has its place, but it's not who I am. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So I put on the raccoon onesie. I'm a big fan of social experimenting. Like,
there you go.
Put on a costume and see how people respond.
What's your favorite costume?
The raccoon onesie.
Social media has you wearing that quite often.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite. It's my go-to. But it's just a fun, silly thing, right? That's how I see it. It's a fun, silly thing, and it gets people out of their bubble. Like,
okay, that's what I love. So that's why I would wear bright colors or ridiculous anything.
Yes.
Is purely because it feels like it gives like people.
Yes.
There. A jolt.
Yep. And that's what I'm talking about. It gets them a jolt out of their ego or association with their ego.
Or not even out of. So for me, the jolt isn't out of ego so much as out of like, just like the like doldrum of life. Like, so often I find we get in, like, these zones, and if you can be the spark that wakes people up to, like, what's around them, like, that's, I mean, I think that's what I love most about life, is just being curious, like, just noticing things. So, like, I want that for other people, too. Because, to me, like, that's what makes life fun. So I don't know if it's, I've never associated the spark with anything having to do with ego so much as, like, breaking a monotony or changing a picture or breaking a pattern. But you see it more as, like, breaking, like, maybe that's the same thing. Maybe, like, the ego is, like, I'm strutting down the street and then something, like, shakes me out of my, like, I've got my shit together. Can you say shit on this thing?
I don't care. There's no rules.
That's my,
There's no rules. And by the way, if before I post anything that I do, people that I'm doing this with watch it first. Like,
yeah, and you better make this like 30 minutes or less. Nobody's gonna watch.
So here's the jam too with it is like,
maybe 15 minutes.
This could be a private link that you just get to watch again, or it could be for everybody. That's how it rolls with this.
That's how it rolls. I don't care. I'm an open book. I would say the same thing to you as I would probably most anyone else.
That's what makes you epic.
Maybe.
It gives, when you do that, it gives other people freedom to do the same.
That is.
And
true.
that's intimidating.
Really?
Oh,
Why
for
would
sure.
that be intimidating?
Because that threatens their ego.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay, I have zero understanding of why that would threaten someone's ego. Does it threaten your ego?
It has. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And people have told me the same thing that you do that I do that I don't see. So you do the thing that you're doing. Okay, so this is proving my point. My original point. The gift you have you don't see. And it gives people freedom. And the most terrifying thing is to be free. Because we want to hold on.
Okay, I would agree with that.
To survive. We want to hold on to whatever we can. It's the hardest thing to do is surrender and to believe that we are free and taken care of. And that gets like into a lot of different layers.
Faith. Yeah, there you go.
But this isn't the first time. This isn't like I heard this last Sunday at church service. This is like, if you study your philosophy, I'm a philosophy minor, this has been an issue, a human nature issue, and psychology, and Carl Jung, and all the things, all the philosophers. It's all woven in, and it remains. And this is the common theme, is we want to hold on to survival. And if we let it go, we're free. Die to self. We die to ego. The current millennial talk is ego death.
Yeah.
Through psychedelics or whatever. But
I'm so not hip.
But Christ said the same thing. Die to self.
Die to self. Yep.
Die to self and you'll be free.
We were created to long for that. No?
Say that one more time.
We were created to long for that.
Long for freedom?
Freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And you see it in kids. And through authenticity. And that's what you have more times than not been, in my observation of you, is you are very childlike, you're very free, and that's intimidating for people because they're like, I want that, but I can't let go. I can't let go of the whatever story that they're telling themselves. So you're an inspiration for a lot of people, whether you like it or not. Cheers.
Cheers to the people.
To the people that I don't know I'm inspiring.
To the people that
but
I
I've
have
got
no idea.
Again, prove my point. Your ego can't see it.